Let's go.
Yeah.
Hi, Angela. My name's Jo from Avalon by Nature, and with me today is Angela Kirby, and we first met in Broken Hill at the Miracles Psychic Fair in Broken Hill. And I remember it because you were sitting across the way from me, and you were against the wall and I was in the center there. And I remember looking over at your beautiful artwork and being a little bit like, well, that looks really nice, but I don't know her, so I don't know what to say. But I think some point through the time I did pluck up the courage and come over and say hello to you and start talking a little bit with you about your artwork. And I saw a video that you posted the other day about your latest mandala, and so I just thought, let's have a chat about it.
Yeah, sure. And because it was a good conversation there. We're going back to the when we met at Broken Hill.
Yeah.
We ended up on quite a long on and off conversations over that weekend about a whole variety of things. Once we started went off on a bit of a tangent of who we listened to on YouTube and who we're inspired by.
That's right.
We were like sisters talking. So, any fears that might have been there certainly left the door pretty quickly.
That's true. I think we both discovered a love for Colette Baron-Reid. I think that was point of commonality.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then we went down a big rabbit hole after that.
That's
right.
right.
And then I think Avalon Cameron came up, didn't she?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
I see that you like her Bonestone and
her tarot. Bonestone and
Earth Flesh, I think it is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Really, it's
the Bonestone tarot.
Way out.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's still on its way out, and I can't wait to see it when it does come out.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so back to the mandalas. Mandalas I became interested in many years ago because I work as an art therapist, and I when I was studying it probably about 20 years ago, we only spent a morning on just talking about mandalas and the history of them, and that a mandala is a circle, but it's basically was it Sanskrit, which is an ancient Indian language, and basically loosely means circle. And Carl Jung was the one who really brought it to from the east to the west, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I was enthralled by it. I felt compelled to. I felt excited by these circles, which is kind of strange because I've been working as a visual artist for over 40 plus years, and but the mandalas really gripped me that morning, and I loved the dreamy state that it naturally took me into, as opposed to being an art painter and the way that I'd been taught. You bring up your you go out and you get. Sorry, I'm stumbling.
You're
trying to get too much out too quick.
I know the feeling.
And what was happening was that I was, you'd go out and you study what you were going to draw and paint and do your thumbnail sketches, and there's a whole variety of steps that lead up to doing the artwork before you start painting it or to execute it, so to speak. And whereas this was, I felt compelled to draw it. I felt compelled that it was like I was being invited by the paper, because these are drawings, not paintings.
Yeah.
So these are done, and I'll show you some of the materials that I work with. Someone's messaging.
Me, sorry about that.
I'm not sure whether you can see those pastels. These are these are pastel pens, and this is the easel that I work at. That's the one that I recently completed, which is called Dragon. This is where the dragon lies, and there's the dragon wings, so to speak. I mean, all the way around there, but then this is the torso, and then it goes into the tail, and then there's the back leg there. But it's like it's protecting what's going on in here. Okay, but and the one below is one that I've recently started, and there is the foot of where everything gets worked at. That's all the pastels that I work with, etc. But I quite often sit on my lounge, and because I've got my studio in the lounge room, which I know sounds crazy, but it's just the way that it's ended up, because my clinic is in the front part of the house.
Yeah.
Where I see clients, and the front room is quite often is like a waiting room, and it's also been a place where I've had workshops, etc., etc. Whereas and then the central part of the house has ended up being my where I do my yoga, where I do my mantras, where I do my I wrote my book. Like the dining room table has now become another sort of another area of workspace. It's kind of crazy, And then, it's made sense to have the easel there. So, and then I can, as I said, it invites me in to be able to talk. And I've tried to do, when I thought, maybe I should get on with this, because some of the mandalas take a long time to do.
I was wondering about how long they take. Yes.
It's like I've got to stop and wait.
Right.
It's like it's gestation period. There is a waiting period that needs to be taken, adhered to, which is a part of the medicine of that particular mandala. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
So I've, sometimes I've tried to do a bit of a, thumbnail sketch and should I do it this way or should I do it that way? And the moment I do, it's like, it's a definite no that comes through. It's like, don't impose your ideals onto it, so to speak. When it comes through, the information comes through, which might sound a bit gobbledygook to some people, but it's like it's the work's channeled basically. So I wait until I'm basically inspired by what needs to go down next. And then, like, for several years, I didn't actually do any. They weren't an oracle. It really only became more apparent in the last, because I started them in 2007, these particular mandalas, and they didn't. I didn't start to begin them to be more of an oracle until a few years ago, and so it became apparent. It became obvious. There started to be more meaning behind them, and then it didn't take long to really get into the meaning. And I didn't look at. Sure, I've been influenced, no doubt, because I use oracle cards and whatever, as we all have, and it's in the collective consciousness, all the tarot and all those sort of things. But this is more, it's I didn't go and research a whole lot on oracle cards and the tarot, the major and the minor arcana to get that. At this stage, where I've been wasn't relevant. It was what these particular, the frequencies that were coming through these mandalas, what they were saying was being told to me there and then, not because I'd researched, the major arcana that day. Stuff. It wasn't, there might be, maybe if we sat down and we could, go through the whole lot, maybe there are some instances there where there's correlations, obvious correlations, but it's more, that wasn't my intention, okay, or upstairs management's intention is how I'd put it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, look, who knows what their intention is, and that's probably not for us to know anyway, right? Yeah, who knows what the big picture is, but in the moment you receive the information or the imagery and you start working with it. Do you receive imagery, or do you just get guided onto how to make the movements and then it comes out?
It's a bit of it's a real mixture. It's kind of strange how it comes in, it just, it's like the paper might be blank to start with, and then it's like, then it's time to draw the circle. And then the circle might just be just a blank circle, might be there for weeks. It's quite strange. And then I start to get images that come in. It becomes very loud, and too, because I can see the space from where I'm doing my yoga as well. So there's certain postures that I might be looking through. I might get information then. I don't stop my yoga then to do it. I just get information. It starts to begin to build up in layers, I guess. Most of them I start centrally, as you can see, this one that I started now, a lot of the work centrally, but there have been 2 or 3 that I have started the outside going in. I haven't even got to the mandala and I've already completed the outside. So yeah, there's a lot of influences there from, I'm not, I can't say that it's Metatron or it's this or it's that, or, I can't really define it. I'm not going to plug it into one particular system, put it that way, although a mandala is a system, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. But, there's still a lot to be revealed. I just know that when I started the first one, I fell in love with it. I fell in love and then felt compelled to continue on. So, they're quite powerful. Some I get really excited about and feel a great level of compassion and excitement and whatever, and then I finish it and then I don't want to see it again. I almost I don't even know what I thought about that. Right?
Wow.
It's quite funny how they can be, and then I have a break from them for a little bit and get back into falling in love with them again. But I have had one deck made from them. I'm trying to prop this up,
because I've seen you use your book in your readings when you're consulting with people at fairs that we've been at together. So, but I haven't noticed you use a deck. So you use a deck when you're doing the readings there?
No, I don't. I haven't. I have got my book, and at the moment, there's only one deck that's been made.
Oh, your deck, right?
One of my decks, right? So that was an old drawing. A friend just told me about this particular website that makes decks or whatever, like card decks. So I said, I'll give it a whirl. But the only problem is that they've cut the edges off, and they're not necessarily. Some of them are dark. I haven't put the numbers on them, so it's a very crude deck at the moment. So I have written in Texter what the name is and put in Texter the number. So, but I work with these personally myself. So this is a very crude number one deck. It's like the size of a card deck, and so it's quite easy to handle. But it would be better if the deck was bigger.
To be able to have the whole of the artwork, but also to have it in the really rich colours and
because each of them, they do have borders, but here they've cut a lot off. They've cut, and that one there is too dark. But look, it's all a part of printing. There's a lot that you go through, even when. Well, I get the most recent one that I had, the dragon. I've had that printed. That's one of them was too dark, and then they lightened them up. But there are some areas that appear perfectly, the colour's perfect, and then there's another couple of the colours further out that aren't correct. But that's all a part of the artistic journey. Is recording all the artwork. Like I've had 10 solo exhibitions and over 100 group exhibitions over 40 plus years. So it's you tend to get over a lot of stuff after a while. I know that even with my book, there was a bit of the book was of course there's issues there that were going that I didn't want it to be. I wanted them to be a bit different than what they are, but as it turns out, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because that's just one version of what they look like, and people can see them on the website, or they can have the original, or they can buy a print, whatever, or they're there for whatever reason. It's not a I know what they look like, so of course I want it to be rendered exactly like it, but I in my journey need to get over that.
and you have, by and large, is what you're saying. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Well, get me in a weak moment, I could think about it might be a bit different, but mostly I am. But what I've done with the book,
no, you're right,
is I have basically put the book in what would I do? Bibliomancy is what it's called, and so that bright light might be a little bit too bright, but that's what that's what the book looks like.
Yep, I can see it. Yep.
So I just try to get out of that light. So what I do with that there's 54 mandalas in here. The one that you saw on the easel is number 59 and 60. So there's missing 6 mandalas from this book, because of course the journey continues on. But if someone had the book, what they would do is they would go, okay, so what is my, I need to know. It's not looking for a yes or no answer, right? Let's forget about yes or no. Let's look at like how I was taught with Colette, which it was really great. You know, what is it that I need to know about today's energy? Yes. What is it that I need to know about this project? Yep. What is it that would be helpful in me moving forward with these people, or whatever it might be? Yep. And then, you know, take a big deep breath or whatever, and then okay, so what is that? And then open it at a page. And the one that came through here is called Spring. All right. So now with each of the mandalas, I have written a preliminary, what's the word? It's a mantra that's the same for each one. All right. So you read that out first, and that is to clear your mind, so to speak. So it's to ready you to take in the information, rather than bullet a gate, rushing in, read it, and then completely miss the message.
Yes.
So, for example, I'll read out. So it's the mantra for each one of them is, you know, a circle of love, a circle of life. This mandala is now in your life. Allow it to open your pleasure and delight through seeing and feeling. In meditation, it will guide you. Allow it to whisper its wisdom. Can you hear what the messages are? So write what you hear, feel, and study it deeply, and then release for your path to be. Mm. So then you read out what the message is. Mm. So it's, you know, it's a great way. It's a really great tool to have, and especially too because in the book there's 12 therapeutic processes, because I work as a transpersonal art therapist. Mm-hmm. So, and there's many different ways to get through our spiritual awakenings, our existential crises, our relationship breakups, whatever you want to call our journey in life. Yeah. And so, and there's many different ways of doing it. Some people go, I don't want to do that. Well, don't. You'll find another way. I trust right. That. Right? I understand your resistance, okay? That's fine. But there are those who go, oh, really, I want to do that. Okay, that's great. So, you know, you put the book out, you birth the book, you know what it's like. You've yep. got a whole lot of things there that you birth. People are drawn to that or that or that or that. And you're there as a guide and a teacher to help them decide yep. or of through your understanding of what you see and what you've learned through those particular artists or oracle makers or whatever it is that you're sharing with the world. I mean, that's your journey is a really important one as a guide for people, you know. So, and in the book there are 12 therapeutic processes that you use the mandala as a template. You're asked a question or a situation to work through what's going on, and then you'll do some drawing. But you don't have to be an artist. Mm. So I worked with several people yesterday doing a workshop at the Cancer Council here in Adelaide, and you know, of course the fears come up. Oh, I can't draw and whatever. And I said to them, great, excellent, good, all right, because you yes. don't have to draw here. In fact, turn your brain off for the moment. All I'm wanting you to do, or for you to want to do, is to connect with your hand to your heart. So we're going to use the meditative space to get out of our head, all right, so to speak, so we're not so stuck in the left side of the brain, yes. to calm ourselves down, and then to really focus in. And you just, if you can imagine that you were drawing, for example, on a big piece of paper, just back and forth, up and down, back and forth, up and down, you know, you'd have this big line there, whatever, yeah. you know, and after a while you start to get, you know, you just start to get into it. It doesn't have to be, it's not about it being a drawing or being, I don't have to be an artist to do that.
No.
You just do it.
Yeah.
You do it. Now, I will say though, over the years, I have done a lot of artwork where this is what you call tapping into the transpersonal, the very big picture, is that through doing these spontaneous drawings, something appears in it. All right. So yep. There's some mandalas that I've done where a couple of birds have appeared, or they're not definitively, but people will say, "What's that?" And they will go, "Oh, they're birds." And I go, "Well, Yeah, well, actually,
They're
they were
birds.
two shapes that ended up looking like birds.
Yes.
You know, but there's several drawings that I've done over the years, and other people will do, that were just abstract pieces where you could literally see something quite realistic in it. It was it's quite interesting. And that's a part of the healing process. It allows you to disconnect from this analytical, to get into the subconscious, and it's like a hologram in a way. You push the button, out it comes. You know, and you're drawing your prescription. You know, you're tapping into this unseen realms, and away you go. But it takes a while to get confidence. You know, I feel sick when I was like, to draw, oh my God, art classes, oh my God. And that's something completely different. Like, I went to art school, you know, because but that had nothing to do at that stage with being an art therapist. You know, art therapy for me started in my bedroom as a teenager, you know, sitting there writing and drawing. You know, back, I'd sit there and I'd whinge and I'd complain, or I'd write a poem or something. And then I would do some drawing after I'd finished writing and carrying on. I'd then start just doodling. And then I remember feeling really excited. I feel really happy and content. Then I'd feel guilty for what I'd written. I'd just bag whoever it was. And then it wasn't until, I'm 39, 40, or no, I'm nearly 60 now, but back 39 and 40, when I started doing the art therapy, I started to then learn that I was now intellectualizing, learning the process of being the art therapy and the realms that it taps into. And that's what I was doing as a child. I was therapizing myself. It was a natural thing. You know, our soul wants us to heal. So it's not about being an artist, but if you do something long enough, you'd be surprised at what arrives, So
and we're encouraged, aren't we, to journal our feelings and to write down our thoughts and experiences and things like that, as a way of getting them out of the head, so that they're not just going round and round in the head, externalizing them and then burning it or burying it, or just turning the page, I guess. So
exactly.
But we don't find that out until we're actually adults and we start learning about that as a result of going to therapy. Going to the counsellor.
Right. And it's interesting now, because there's people are a lot younger already starting to be much more aware than what, say, we were back in our day type stuff. So which is interesting, but I wonder that they might know quite a lot, again, at an intellectual level, but when it comes to actually being able to embody and have the years of wisdom, I don't know. It's interesting. Some people can live for a lifetime and still have not a lot of
clue.
Clue what's going on, and that's fine. That's not a good or a bad thing. That's just
it just is.
That's just their path. That's not a judgment. It's just a part of their path, and where they were going. And there's other of us who go through a hell of a lot, and we wouldn't have said 40 years ago or 50 years ago, this is where I'm heading. Had no idea really. Ways I knew I wanted to be a lot older. I felt deeply frustrated being young. I couldn't wait to be older, because I knew it would make a lot more sense. Well, I don't know if it makes much more sense, but I know that I'm definitely much more curious and inquisitive of life. This is the old story of the more I learn, the more I don't know.
Yes. That's
life
so
is
true.
fascinating. But I'm really grateful for this spiritual pathway. Grateful for that. Sure, there was some religiosity that happened as a youth, but I had to. It was too contained, too controlling for me, for my background. It didn't seem right, so I needed to find and look for something else. So, and that happened. I was always looking for answers. So, because there were heavy duty wounds that I was carrying from being adopted and losing parents at a young age and yada, yada, yada. So there was always a searching for answers in, hang on a minute, I know I've felt content and happy and satisfied in my life, so I'm sure I can find that again somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's been really the journey. I remember coming across a guy years ago. He said, well, why can't you just come and live with me and let's live happily ever after, and you'll be happy. And I don't know, why do you keep wanting to read all these books and do all this stuff? And I said, well, you know, day 2 with you, I think I'd probably be bored, you know, because you're not even interested in any of the stuff
that's
that
right.
I'm into.
Now, what are we going to talk about?
You would be seriously frustrated with me, frustrated. And so, you know, it's so sometimes we have to, you know, spend great amounts of time alone to ready ourselves for the right situations and people for us to feel really embracing it and hold our space as a light worker or as someone who helps other people on their paths. But first, you must travel that path yourself. You have to work on yourself constantly. And it goes back to the journaling, you know, journal. How can I go to the kitchen and, unless I'm bewitched, which I'm not, you know, as in, you know, wiggle my nose and there's the salad there automatically. It's not. I have to go to the fridge. I have to go to the cupboard. I have to get these things out. I have to make them. And, you know, so it's the same. I can't, you know, it's in my head. I don't need to write that down. I remember it. Okay, good. Okay, so when someone poses you certain questions and ideas and whatever at an interview or at something, they're going to say, well, where's your information? But it's not about them. It's more, I've forgotten that idea. I wish I'd written that down, you know. So
I wish I'd ordered it. I wish I'd put it in a way that I can reproduce it or send it back out or have have it in some sort of order, like not OCD order, but an order that makes sense. Yeah.
Look, however it turns up, and you can rearrange things along the line. And you become grateful. It's like, oh, thank goodness I've kept all those journals or that, whatever it is. Like, I mean, I have my journals, my wake up in the morning, like the morning pages type thing. And then I will, write the blah, 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 which you don't really want to go over again, because there's a lot of, crap in them. But then there's the stuff that would be put in a book, provided, and then there's poems and then there's other jotting down. There's a whole lot of different books. So some people might go, well, I can't write that. What if I make a mistake? Well, you're not going to put it in the book. Don't put that in the book.
That's what editing is for.
Exactly. You put in the, oh my God, no one else is going to see it book.
That's right. That ends up on the cutting room floor.
Exactly. Don't be precious. It's time to have some beautiful, exquisite books that lock down whatever. Then you put special things like a grimoire type thing. But when it comes to, don't be precious. You keep them for specials, and then you have your other, like, I go to Officeworks, and I mean, I've got boxes full of, 240 page books of, those exercise books. And I think I'm up to book number 90 now.
Oh my goodness.
Of blah, 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 blah. And I remember one time going, I'm going to get rid of all this. I've just got to get rid of it. I did probably about 10, 12 years ago, and then I threw them in the bin.
No.
At the time when I was living in the city, and there were several bins in this particular place and whatever, and then went back upstairs and blah, blah, blah. Then I thought, oh my God, what if I need them again for some reason? What if so then I'm back down the stairs, upended in the bin, pulling all those books back out,
wiping them off.
Seriously. And then sometimes you just go, I'm going to have a bonfire, which I did with one lot, 20 years, 25 years ago. I just, I vow never to regret doing it. So, and maybe, anyway, blah, blah.
Well, I guess you knew it is.
You've got to get it out. Get it out.
Yes.
And then just do a doodling. The doodling's a bit like the icing on the cake. Except it's healthy icing, no sugar. It's
no fat.
It's helping you to transform. It helps you to feel good.
Yeah.
Just try, back and forward, around and around. You're not having to draw the Mona Lisa. We drop into, I can't, blah, blah, blah. Listen, that inner child and that little teenager and the rebellious teenager or whatever that's freaking out right now, give her or him a big hug. All right, give him a big hug. And then, he or she might be really happy in half an hour or 20 minutes to sit there and doodle and carry on. But, it's the fully, the fully functioning adult. There's many aspects to us, the archetypes it's a big conversation about where we are and the things that we need at a particular time, the things that we could utilise or need at that particular moment to help us in our lives to transform or to move through an existential crisis, or a breakup of a relationship, as I was mentioning before, or you're deciding to move house, move state, move country, or should I hang around these people, or what do I need to do to help me to listen to me? Because we're so external. When the answers, we need to come home to us.
Yeah.
I need to trust my feelings, and it ain't probably going to come from here. It's going to come from here. It's a feeling.
So you find that the drawing is a good way to get that feeling out.
Yeah. The writing is the purging. Is the vomit, so to speak. It's the moving out. It's the acknowledging, getting my my point of view over, or I'm upset about this situation, whatever it is that I'm writing. Oh my God, I feel hopelessly tired, or I really need to do blah, whatever it is. Whinging, carrying on, happy, whatever I must do, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's a purge, and then the drawing. That it takes you into that dreamy state where then that transforms what you've written.
Right.
You might, and I have had quite mystical states from that, so smoking a joint and getting pissed at the bar, excuse me for saying it like that, I left a long time ago, which I used to do a lot of, long time ago, because I was looking for an escape, whereas this, there's no hangover. I feel ecstatic. It feels good. I feel much more myself and content in my life by doing this. And I might have felt agitated, upset, or whatever it was earlier. I've seen clients do some amazing work, even the ones who have sat there going, oh, I can't do this artwork. Just don't think. Don't think, all right? And then half an hour, 3/4 an hour later, turned around, what they've done with this piece of clay, I've gone, oh my God. I mean, they could almost exhibit that,
Did they know that was within them?
And they're shocked. I'm shocked. They're shocked.
Did I do that?
They're looking at their work, and then they know they've got an answer because they've brought this answer up. It's profound. It's transforming. That's why it's worth writing dreams down, then doing the creative, that opens up the doorway for the answers. It's not something that's scientifically measurable, because we're into the quantum field. We're into those different realms. It's fascinating, but it's beautiful. I feel really excited to do it. I know that I felt a lot of, I often doubted the road that I was on. That's a part of the path, unfortunately, and it hinders it a lot, because there is no, if you do this, this will happen.
Yes.
That might happen for you, but there's no guarantee. I mean, I've got to write a list of everything. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. Some things might manifest quickly. Other times they might take a long time to manifest. And, being a visual artist, and I didn't know I was going to be a transpersonal art therapist or an art therapist. I didn't know that I was going to be a counsellor. I didn't know any of those things at that stage. That wasn't the mission.
No.
But if someone had said that to me at the beginning, the spiritual stuff was always there. But if somebody said that to me, I was like, oh, that sounds, a bit crazy. But then I look back at the times, and I think it was always there, but it needed to be contained first and learned first.
And experienced first. Yeah, you have to experience first before you can then look back and go, oh, these are the patterns, or these are the things that you can do in this particular instance, or this artwork is telling me this, that, and the other. And yeah. And the thing is too, is that when it comes to to the analysis or anything like that, I wouldn't analyze anybody else's work. I would invite and encourage them to talk to me about it, even though I might think I know what I'm seeing. I would encourage them to tell me what's and what they're experiencing,
And it's like the great excitement that can come from that is profound.
Yes.
When they're like, a lot of healing takes place. I've seen people, you know, from being in really crappy relationships or really bad situations in their life, or whatever, you know, whatever situation it might be, whatever age they might be. I work with, you know, young children, but mostly adults. Right through to their 60s, to retiring, to midlife crises, early 20s, whatever. And, you know, whatever, whoever's ready to do the work basically will come along. But the transformation, if they're sticking with it, is poetry in motion, watching these people just blossom, bloom, you know. I didn't do it. I just facilitated the process.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah, they're doing the work.
They're doing the work. They're empowering. I'm just holding space for them, you know.
Yeah.
What a privilege and honor, like you with your work at those expos that we do. We're holding space for people who are searching and looking for answers.
Yes.
I mean, what a privilege that is.
Absolutely.
It's an honor, you know. And you're prepared to get in your car and drive all around, as we're all driving up here and down there, and I mean, it's great, you know. Need a little landscape to drink in, to be able to really, you know, keep the spirit going.
Absolutely. And for me, that journey actually is part of the journey. Like to me, driving 2 days across the countryside is not tiresome or a chore, because there's so much going on in those 2 days. Like by the time I get to wherever we're meeting up, I've done a journey already, you know, and there's so much to go, like, oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe what I saw on the side of the road, or this. I had eagles.
Exactly.
I had eagles.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Eagles up front. They were in front of me. They were on the road, and it was I've never seen that before. And you know, all sorts of things. The river, you know, the changes in the landscape.
The clouds.
The clouds. Oh, I'm never actually looking up that high.
Oh, see, you know,
I'm never a passenger.
I need something up on my car to be able to take photos, because I don't stop.
True.
You know, so I'm always taking photos. And Tanya, who comes with me, she'll be taking. I sometimes hand the photo, or she'll take it from me to start taking photos for me.
There's something to grab.
I know it. You know, which is naughty, I know, but there's no one else on the road in a lot of the instances. But and I might, you know, slow it down. Sometimes we do stop. And like I remember driving down the southeast, and I could not believe these clouds. It was just this, like, big storm, but a big, like, miles. It looked like miles of a really, really flat bottom cloud with big bulbous up the top. Oh my God, it was just like so powerful. And I'm going, oh my God, I have to stop for that. you know, I can't get half the windscreen or whatever, windscreen washer or whatever in it. You know, it's like, oh God. So you know, stop, get out of the car and start taking photos. Yeah, they're just amazing. Because I was brought up on the landscape. I was brought up on the land. So, you know, living in the city, when you go out to the backyard and the only view is directly above, is hilarious. You know, it's like, oh, great sunset. Pity about the houses in the road.
Yeah,
you know?
That's it. Did you see the sun go down?
Yeah, right. No, that's at 4 o'clock.
That's it.
You know, it doesn't happen in Adelaide. You
know.
But unless I go to the beach, we do face the west. So
that's true.
You know,
yes.
You know, sometimes we can. Actually, when we were up, you remember when we were in Port Lincoln?
No, I didn't go there. I didn't get there. I know. Why? Tell me.
We Tanya and I, we were driving around. I don't know. We're just driving around. We'd finished work for the day, and I said to her, I said, "Look at that sun." We couldn't see the sun, but we could see the clouds. And I said, "Look at the colours." I said, "I think we need to chase that sunset." You know, and so we were, you know, and we didn't know Port Lincoln. You know, okay, so down that street, up that hill, whatever, and then all of a sudden, as we found went out sort of out in the outer area of Port Lincoln, and up this hill, and we just got over it. Bang! There's this big, huge mother of a sun, big orangey colour just at the horizon. Like, it's like we both looked at each other, holy shit. And then there were these really big, beautiful clouds there as well.
Oh, wow.
That were, you know, grey clouds. It was such a big sky, and we were both like gobsmacked, excuse me for swearing, gobsmacked in how exquisite and what a moment we got captured. And why wasn't the rest of Port Lincoln out here watching? Because we've just been witness to amazingness.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't as profound. It was, I love moments like that. You know, Broken Hill was another. We were walking at night time, and, you know, staying in a great little place. And so we're walking up this hill, and, you know, seeing the outskirts there were quite different. You know, it was very, very different, a very arid landscape to what Port Lincoln's like. Port Lincoln was decidedly green. It was amazing, because you go from Adelaide, and then it was desert-like, and then Whyalla, it's really desert-like in a lot of ways. But then when you go up the peninsula and then down towards Port Lincoln, it's very green. It was just beautiful. It just changed like that. Yeah, I mean, I know it gets dry and there's been bushfires up there and whatever as well, but it was seriously beautiful, quite different than in sharp contrast to what Whyalla was like. But you know, I think I've got to get, my eyes have got to drink in that landscape as what you're noticing as well.
Yes.
It's food for the soul, you know.
It is. And I bought a cheapy dash cam when I was in Mildura on my way back from Whyalla, and, you know, connected it up. And, you know, it's the image, the vision isn't very good. It's not awesome, but it's enough to just see how the landscape changes and how the trees look on the side of the road. And since a child, I've been fascinated by trees on the side of the road. There's just something about the different trees. And when I drive out to Broken Hill, the shapes, the colours, the way the light plays on the different colours of the bark, and the different greens in the trees. I know it doesn't look like we have much of a green, but the greens that we have are really amazing greens, you know, greeny grey greens. And I just, for me, that is the music that I listen to when I'm driving in the car going somewhere.
Yeah, because I don't listen to music anymore.
No.
It's silent. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Because to take it in that
distracting.
I'm really with you on those. And how are some of the trees that are bent over like that? You know, the ones that are further down are a bit more upright. But then there might be a lone ranger out there. It's, you know, it's up for about 2 or 3 feet, and then it's this sharp bend. And, you know, it's like severe winds has you know, really directed this tree.
Yeah, over time, because that just doesn't happen in one day. That's constant windiness, isn't it?
Exactly. Like, when did it get the big bend? You know, like, when did it actually decide to bend over, you know, and then, you know,
I don't know.
Over that time, you know. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
I know when I went to Darwin, we lived in Darwin as a child, when I was a child, and when I went back as an adult, it was an amazing trip, because I got to see all the things that I'd taken for granted or not really been aware of as a child, but got to see them with adult eyes. And one of the things I just relished was the sitting on Mindle Beach, watching the sunset, because of course, you know, we've got sunrise in the east and the sun sets over the mountains, and it goes down at about 3 o'clock in winter. You know, but, you know, to see a sunset over the water, to me that was magical, absolutely magical. Yeah.
Because I used to work at the at a restaurant in Fanny Bay, and so every night I used to work there 6 nights a week. Crazy job, and we were flat out busy. They would have, you know, hauled in. Look, it was just an amazing place. Anyway, but every night of the week, you were guaranteed of a sunset.
No,
you
for
know,
sure, yes.
You know, it was just Darwin. What an amazing place Darwin is. I mean, it's far too hot for me. I seriously would love to live in Tasmania. Like I find Adelaide's too hot. I'm really looking forward to winter. So. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how they do Darwin. Seriously, it's so hot.
Well, we did Darwin for 4 years. No, not really. We were there for 4.5 years. So Mum convinced Dad to come back to Sydney. We'd all come from Sydney.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So Dad worked with the transport department down here in Sydney and got a job up with Northern Territory Transport. And so that's how we got to go up there. And honestly, it was an amazing place as children. We had, you know, we lived not far from Fanny Bay, and we used to take our dog to the beach there at Fanny Bay. So I know Fanny Bay. When I went up there as an adult, I went to the museum, the Darwin Museum is there, I think, in Fanny Bay.
Yes, that's right. Well, that's where we worked. There was a restaurant that was right next to it. So there was you came down, there was the, what do you call it? What you just said. And then right next, God, I can't, sorry.
It's okay, it's too exciting.
So, yeah, I know. And then I think they built it on or something. And I can't remember the name of it. But, yeah, because you can go, that was where that big crocodile was kept, wasn't it? Do you remember there was a really big crocodile that they caught, or something had happened, I don't know. Sorry for moving the camera around. I had to put the gas on, otherwise it might run out.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
Plug it in. So, yeah, I think there was a big crocodile that they had in there that they'd caught. I don't know. I can't remember. Have to look that up. Yeah, look up the history of that. But yeah, the restaurant was really good. We worked our butts off. You know, we worked hard and fast, and yeah, it was a very profitable business, that one. Yeah, very, very good. So yeah, it was a pretty amazing place, Darwin. But Jesus, they do storms really well up there. I mean, I can't imagine what Cyclone Tracy would have been like. You know, the storms were scary enough as it was.
That's right. Well, it's funny you say that, because I went into the museum and they had an exhibition where they actually had a sound recording of part of this. I know, and they put you you walk into this kind of like tin. Now I'm getting excited. This tin room, and it's tiltable as well, so it kind of rocks you around, and it plays this, you know, the recording of the storm, and it's just loud and scary, and it's like, wow, it's like you were really there. And it was a really interactive exhibition. But we moved up there in '79, and the house the house that we bought was a rebuild after the cyclone. It hadn't been built yet. You know, so it's been 6 years later.
Yeah, of course.
What was I going to say? But we did go through a cyclone when we were there. Thankfully, it wasn't anywhere near, but we have actually been through a cyclone, so that's interesting.
Really?
But, yeah, but friends of ours still live there, so they've been through all of them. He was there when Tracy was there, and he's still there now. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Well, my brother, I think he left there not long before it happened, and then I remember living there when I lived there for a bit. Some other. I met, you know, there was a regional Darwinite there that we're a friend. It was a friend of a friend, and she had scars from being, you know, a big. I remember this big, huge scar on her arm. I thought, what the heck's going on? She said, well, that was because of the cyclone that came through, Cyclone Tracy, and then, but most of the people that I met there weren't from Darwin. It's usually when you go to Darwin, I found the first question we were asking is, you know, where are you from? It wasn't. Not which street you were on or which suburb you were from, but which part of Australia or the world you were from.
Right.
Because I didn't seem to meet any Darwinites, you know, many Darwinites.
People who were born there. There might have been people who've lived there for a long time, but they may not have been born there. But interesting, isn't it? Interesting. Yeah. Well, place is interesting anywhere, and I guess that's the journey too, isn't it? Just I don't know, it's fascinating. So like you say, I love being on the road. I love getting out and seeing new places and meeting different people, and that's the joy. Yeah, that's the joy. I'll get to meet you.
Yeah, I know, and it's good. And discuss very interesting things that we're interested in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, cool. I just realised my earring was sitting at an angle probably for all of that call, but never mind.
Well, that's all right. I didn't notice, so it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, we have done probably almost an hour.
Yeah. I've always been able to have a chat. So,
Angela, have a chat. That's awesome. So how can we find more about you? Where can we make contact with you, Angela?
Well, there's always my Facebook. I'm on Facebook. It's Angela Kirby. Or I actually have got a YouTube channel, but like I just do the weekend chill, occasional talks Well, the weekend chill is a 5-minute meditation that I post on Facebook, but basically, you know, it is what it is. Then Instagram, I'm on Instagram. So basically it's Angela Kirby. Then I've got a website that is frizzkirby.com. So
frizzkirby.com.
Yeah, and that comes from a nickname I was given because of my frizzy hair.
I figured that.
On the school bus when I was 13.
Something stick with you.
Yeah, it has. Some people call me Angela. A lot of people still call me Frizz. So Frizz Kirby, FRIZZKIRBY.com.
Right.
So, and I've there's got to be some changes going on there because the person who's been doing my website for the last 20 years has recently passed. Beautiful soul that she was. So her daughter, I think, will be helping me with that over the next wee while because there's a few things that need to be added and put back on that. So
yeah, wow.
So that's she's it was a beautiful soul, but her journey was cut in to a shorter life this lifetime, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But anyway, so the usual channels. Or just just through my website if anybody wanted to contact me. And I do I offer a lot of different. Well, if you go on there, you can see a lot of the different aspects of the practice, or the things that I've been, the journey that I've followed for the last 40, 50 plus years. Is apparent on that website.
Cool. Cool. And we'll get to hang out in between busyingness in Mildura in early April. So I'm looking forward to that. That's one of my faves. Yeah, absolutely.
And are you coming to Port Lincoln?
Look, is there a date for that already?
Yes, there is.
All right. Well, I'll get on to Karen about that. Yeah, I'll get on to Karen about that because that would definitely be on my list, but it'll in the fullness of time.
Yeah. I think Karen's over in Bali at the moment.
She is.
Something.
Yeah.
So, but give them a hoy.
I will.
Because Port Lincoln. I like Port Lincoln.
Yeah,
it's good.
Karen said that it was a lot of fun. I think a few other people said that it was a lot of fun, and I've got a friend who moved from the Central Coast. She lives down there now too, so it could be very easy. Oshena, you might have met her when you had it around there before. Oshena Hawkins. Yeah. Oceana.
What's her name?
I've never spoken to her on the phone, so I've never said her name, but her name is spelled like ocean with the A on the end.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all right. That's all right. Sorry.
We're going to go off on another tangent again.
I know. Stop, Joanne, stop.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Angela. Thank you for talking with me. That's great. I've enjoyed the chat. So.
You're welcome. Thank you for having a cup of chat with me. Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Well, just lost my ear. All right. Well, I'll let you go, and we'll close this off and upload it. And thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch up with you again, Angela.
That's it. All right.
Right.
See
ya.
Bye.